Before I begin this exploration, subscribe to Daily Truth Media and hit the notification bell so you never miss deep, fearless analysis of Nigeria's toughest issues. Because today's topic challenges how Nigerians view justice, security, and national bias. And it matters for every household and every community in this country. The question that many ordinary Nigerians are asking right now goes like this. If an Igbo person were to openly support Biafra with the same boldness that Sheikh Ahmad Gumi uses to defend and publicly speak for bandits and extremist elements, would that person still be walking free today? Or would they already be in prison? This is not a casual question. It is a question rooted in years of lived experience, legal outcomes, and public perception of how justice and national security are applied differently depending on who speaks and what group they represent. To understand the depth of this issue, we have to look closely at two very different public figures. Nnamdi Kanu, a leader who advocated for the freedom and rights of Igbo people, and Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, a cleric who gained attention for his public stance on security, banditry, and dialogue with armed groups. Both men have made bold statements, but the legal and social treatment of each has been strikingly different. Nnamdi Kanu was detained, tried in court, and eventually sentenced to imprisonment for his position and actions related to Biafra and calls for self-determination. Many see his messages as separatist, others see them as freedom advocacy, but the outcome was that the Nigerian state prosecuted him and he is serving a long sentence. In contrast, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has repeatedly made public statements that many Nigerians find controversial. He has openly advocated for dialogue with armed groups who terrorize communities, he has visited armed encampments to hold peace talks, and he has spoken on behalf of people who are accused of committing grave crimes, sometimes in ways that appear to defend them rather than condemn the acts they are involved in. Nigerians have watched these actions unfold on national media and social platforms, and the reactions have been intense. Some praise Gumi's intent to seek peace, others criticize him for giving moral cover to criminals, and many question why he has not been held accountable in the same way the state treated Nnamdi Kanu. This comparison raises a deeper question about bias in Nigeria's justice system, a bias that seems to operate along lines of religion, ethnicity, and political alignment more than clear, consistent rule of law. The heart of this issue is not just about two individuals. It is about why similar behaviors are treated so differently and what this says about how Nigeria values different voices and communities. Let's begin by unpacking the case of Nnamdi Kanu and why his actions led to incarceration. Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, a movement that seeks greater autonomy or independence for Igbo majority areas in southeast Nigeria. His activism includes speeches, media broadcasts, and organized rallies that call for a change in Nigeria's federal structure and greater rights for his people. For many Igbo Nigerians, his message resonated with long-held grievances about marginalization, economic exclusion, and political neglect. However, the Nigerian government viewed his actions as a threat to national unity and charged him with offenses including treasonable felony. After legal processes and international attention, he was extradited back to Nigeria, tried, and sentenced to imprisonment. For many Nigerians, especially in the southeast, this outcome felt preordained, a demonstration that the state would not tolerate any call for structural change that it perceives as secessionist, even if delivered through peaceful rhetoric. Now consider Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, a cleric with a large following who burst into national attention not through political mobilization for political independence, but through his controversial engagement with security crises. Gumi has consistently called for dialogue with armed groups, including bandits and extremists, and has visited them in forest encampments to negotiate the release of captives or to advocate for peace talks. In doing so, he has made statements that many feel come dangerously close to justifying or defending individuals responsible for killings, abductions, and terror campaigns. Many Nigerians remember him saying that some of these men are misguided and that the root cause of their violence is poverty and injustice rather than criminal intent. Critics argue that this framing is not only insensitive to victims, but also undermines the seriousness of violent criminality. These debates are not abstract. In communities across the Northwest and Northeast, families grieve the loss of loved ones killed in raids, villagers recount horror stories of their homes being attacked and properties stolen, and parents talk about paying ransom to save their children. So when Gumi speaks about terrorism in sympathetic tones or suggests softer approaches, those voices are interpreted by many survivors and relatives as morally disproportionate to the realities they face. Despite all this, Sheikh Gumi has never been arrested on charges of supporting criminal groups or making statements that appear to encourage them on charges of supporting criminal groups. This fact alone has ignited a conversation among Nigerians about double standards in the application of justice. Many point out that if a leader of a movement like Biafra is arrested and jailed for speaking passionately about self-determination, whether one agrees with his cause or not, then why is a religious leader who appears to advocate on behalf of armed groups treated with leniency? Why is Gumi still free to travel, speak on national media, and maintain influence without legal restraint?
The comparison raises a crucial question. Is Nigeria's justice system blind, or is it selective? Is it possible that political speech that challenges the state's narrative is criminalized, while other speech that challenges national unity in different ways is tolerated because of the speaker's identity or perceived authority? To understand this, we must consider the role of bias in society. Nigeria is a country of diverse ethnic and religious identities. These identities are not just cultural markers, they are political realities. Historical memory, competition for resources, and political power struggles have created deep divisions. These divisions are frequently invoked in narratives about security, governance, and national cohesion. In such a context, actions by individuals are often interpreted not only through their content, but through the lens of who is delivering them. When Nnamdi Kanu spoke about Igbo marginalization and the idea of a sovereign Biafra, many Nigerians, including political leaders and security establishments, interpreted it as a separatist challenge to the territorial integrity of the country. Whether one sees this as legitimate political dissent or a security threat depends on perspective, but the government interpreted it as the latter, leading to his arrest and eventual imprisonment. On the other side, when a religious cleric speaks about the need to understand and negotiate with armed groups, the interpretation often depends on the religious or regional identity of the speaker. Those who share his religious background or view his actions as spiritual peacemaking defend him, while others see his actions as undermining justice and security. The net result is that two people making controversial statements, one about political identity, the other about security engagement, are treated very differently. This is where bias becomes clear. Nigeria's legal and political institutions appear more ready to act against a challenge to political unity from a historically marginalized region than against a challenge linked to security and protection of citizens from violent actors. Many Nigerians see this as part of a pattern where actions by northerners or figures aligned with certain identities are given more leniency, while actions by southerners or those perceived as challenging the status quo are met with punishment. This perceived bias fuels resentment and deepens distrust among communities. But the issue goes beyond individual figures. It speaks to a broader question. What does Nigeria value as acceptable speech, and who gets to decide? A person advocating for the rights of his people and calling out injustices in governance is labeled a criminal, while a person advocating for negotiation with individuals who have killed scores of civilians is treated as a negotiator rather than an instigator. This contradiction does not exist in a vacuum. It exists in a society where legal processes are perceived as unevenly applied, where security concerns are often weaponized politically, and where the courts and enforcement agencies are seen as extensions of political power rather than independent arbiters of justice. In many discussions, Nigerians point to the fact that extremist groups like Boko Haram and Fulani bandits have killed people across ethnic and religious lines, and yet when clerics defend engagement with them or speak in ways that frustrate decisive action against them, there is little or no accountability. This dynamic makes many ask, are certain influential voices insulated from legal consequences because of their religious status or political connections, while others are vulnerable because of their regional identity? These questions are not limited to the examples of Gumi and Kanu. They touch daily life in Nigeria. When Christians and other minorities face violence, the outcry gains international attention, yet domestic authorities are slow to act or quick to downplay the severity. When a preacher makes a controversial statement about violence, the reaction can be muted if the preacher belongs to a majority group. This inequality in reaction creates a narrative that justice in Nigeria is not blind. It is influenced heavily by identity, influence, and power structures. And that narrative is dangerous because it feeds into cycles of anger, marginalization, and distrust. If citizens believe that the system protects some and punishes others based on identity rather than actions, the foundation of national cohesion weakens. Indeed, many young Nigerians today express a loss of faith in national institutions. They see political speech criminalized when it challenges the majority narrative, but other forms of speech that appear to undermine civilian safety treated with tolerance. They see a double standard where criminal accountability is enforced selectively. This frustration is not just political, it is deeply personal for families who have lost loved ones to violence and for communities that feel abandoned by the state's inability or unwillingness to protect them. The contrast between how the state treated Nnamdi Kanu and how it treats Sheikh Gumi today also exposes a broader question about how Nigeria defines legitimate dissent. Is speaking about self-determination more dangerous than engaging with armed groups who commit atrocities? Why is one punished severely while the other is allowed to continue unhindered? These questions go beyond personality, religion, or region. They strike at the heart of how Nigeria perceives identity, justice, and security. The situation is further complicated by how these figures are portrayed in media and public discourse. Some media outlets present Kanu as a security threat, while others portray him as a freedom advocate. Some present Gumi as a peacemaker, while others portray him as a spokesperson for criminal interests.
This media framing influences public perception, and public perception, in turn, influences how authorities respond. What Nigeria needs, and what many Nigerians are demanding, is not a continuation of selective accountability, but a system where speech and action are measured by a common standard. Does it harm or protect citizens? Under that standard, advocating for the protection of citizens from violence should be rewarded. Encouraging or rationalizing violence should be condemned, and advocating for the rights and dignity of a people should be treated as legitimate political discourse, not criminal behavior, especially when it is peaceful. The bias in Nigeria's current treatment of these two figures reflects deep structural challenges: the politicization of justice, the influence of identity on legal outcomes, and an inconsistent approach to national security and dissent. Until these issues are addressed honestly, the resentment and frustration among citizens will continue to deepen, with grave implications for unity, stability, and national confidence. Nigeria cannot defeat terrorism if some voices are protected while others are punished. It cannot achieve justice if rules apply differently depending on whose voice is raised. And it cannot command loyalty from its citizens if its systems convey the sense that justice is not equal but selective. The true test of a nation's maturity is not in how it treats its supporters, but in how it treats those who challenge it. When calls for accountability, dignity, and protection are met with imprisonment for some and indulgence for others, the nation must ask itself, what kind of country are we building? And will that country be one where justice is blind, or one where justice is biased by identity, influence, and power? As Nigerians watch these dynamics unfold, they are not just witnessing two individual cases, they are seeing a reflection of a larger national dilemma. And the answers to these questions will shape Nigeria's future more than any single speech, trial, or public controversy.